Welcome, everybody. This is Via Williams with Ben Kinney Companies. This is our Wednesday webinar that we do every single Wednesday, except for when I go on vacation, which is like not that often. It's not often enough. We do this every Wednesday at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern time, and this is for you. We do this really to give back to our agent community and to teach and train our agents and to raise the bar for real estate agents. We really want to empower every single one of you that has a real estate license to build a big business and at least to build a smart business. You know, whatever size you want is good with you. Every single week we cover very, very specific topics, and we bring on experts for each of those topics. So as an example, last week, we actually had our largest viewership last week. We had a power all-star panel. We had 3 of the top buyer agents from around the country. Each one of them personally will sell over 50 homes to buyers this year. And we had them come on and walk through exactly how they do their buyer consults. They shared scripts, they shared their buyer guides. We did screen shares and shared that. And we got the biggest tip of the year that blew me away, and you'll have to watch it to see it. If you're on our mailing list, you will have just received the tutorial on that tip. And it's how to get someone to sign a contract and a document while they're on Zoom with you live, right there in front of you. Blew my mind. So we did that one last week. We've had Michael Perna and Sue Adler come on and give all of their secrets to how they're getting so many listings. We have had, oh my goodness, so many. We've had Katie Lance. Katie's a fan favorite. This is the second time we're bringing Katie back to talk about social media. I'm really excited to cover zero cost marketing on social media today. So we have all sorts of great guests. You can see the replays always if you either get on our mailing list or get on our leadership mentoring page, or of course, we always Facebook Live these on the Pivot Shift Ahead page. I always get that mixed up. Next week, I wanted to invite you. Seychelle Van Poel and I are going to be going through a topic that it may not sound sexy on the surface, but I want to tell you it's been one of the biggest reasons for my success. And that is, what data do you track and how do you present that data to buyers and sellers to convert business? You guys, it has made me hundreds of thousands, probably 7 figures on just perfecting that skill alone. So I'm going to actually jump into my own hot seat. I've never done it before. And I'm going to be my own guest along with Seychelle, who tracks very, very simple data, but she just does it consistently. And I'm so excited to teach you that. It's actually a passion of mine to teach real estate agents how we can present data. And it makes you sound so smart and like so much of an expert. The week after that, I have to tell you, I'm so excited about it. We have a whole bunch of people coming on from the Anderson Hicks group. So we have Mike Hicks, Sean Anderson, Stephanie Brackett, and Chris Bertignoli. They have something they call the promise. And I promise you that if you spend an hour with us learning the promise and you actually go and do it, you will double your business. And you will get your first referral with whatever client you're working with now. That 1 hour, you guys, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So I really, really want to urge you to get on our mailing list or to click on the links and register for all of our upcoming webinars. They are free. There is no obligation and there's really no catch, right? This is just part of our mission here at Ben Kinney Companies, and it's what we try to do. In exchange for that, I'm gonna have to do 2 shameless plugs before we move on to Katie. I mean, come on, you know. I really want to invite you guys. I've been doing a podcast with 3 of my best friends, Sarah Reynolds, Wendy Papasan, Seychelle Van Poel. It's called Empire Building. It has been one of the most fun professional projects I've ever done in my life. I've just enjoyed it so much. And we are just pouring into sharing everything we know. And it's not just about business. It's about, you know, living a big life and having a big business, right? It's about having both. So it's called Empire Building Podcast. Thank you, Heather Owens, for saying it's so great. I just, you know, if you're enjoying these Wednesday webinars, my personal request, just as a favor to me, go subscribe to our podcast. That would mean a lot to me. The secondary favor is another personal request. would you guys also subscribe to Ben Kinney's podcast? It's called Win, Make, Give, and it's unbelievably amazing. He is dropping so much content. He's got an incredible wealth series on there. He's in the middle of a really powerful persuasion and influence series right now, and it's so good. And he's my business partner. It would mean a lot to me if you would also, subscribe to that one as well. Enough with that. Now it's all about you. For the whole rest of the time, it's about you. We have got superstar, nationally renowned social media expert Katie Lance on. And Katie, I'm just going to basically do what we did last time. I'm going to just let you drop all of your knowledge bombs. I'm going to monitor chat. I'm going to monitor questions, and I'm going to break in if I feel like we need to do clarification, or if we have any audience questions. And I'm just going to let you teach us about no cost marketing on social media. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Via. It is awesome to be back again on your webinar here today. And I know we've got lots of folks who are here on the webinar. We got lots of folks on Facebook Live. So very, very excited to talk about this topic. It is, I saw you post this recently, that this whole idea of like zero cost is near and dear to your heart. And it is to me as well. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Hey, Katie, while you're doing that, you reminded me of something. If you're watching this live and it's in the 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time hour on Wednesday, and you want to participate, hop over to Zoom. We don't monitor the Facebook Live during the webinar. So if you want to ask questions and be able to interact, then you do need to hop over to Zoom. If you're watching the replay, no problem. Katie and I both pop on from time to time and try to interact afterwards with the comments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this whole topic of, like I said, zero cost social media marketing tools for real estate, definitely near and dear to my heart. And I'm excited. This is one of my favorite presentations because there's a lot of meat. There's a lot of meat and potatoes. And it's one of those presentations where I'm sure a lot of you, depending on where you're at, you might be taking out your phone and taking screenshots, or you might be writing down, different apps that you want to check out. I would love, as you are listening to us today, if this inspired you, if this got you fired up, if you learned something that maybe you didn't learn before, reach out to me on social media. I'm at Katie Lance, basically everywhere on social. I have to say I'm spending a lot of time these days on Instagram. So my fellow Instagram friends, you can do a little Instagram story, tag me, I'll reshare it later on. But I would love to connect with you. It's always fun. We did this last time after the last webinar we did. And it was so fun afterwards to spend time like on Facebook and Instagram, like just chatting with you guys who connected with me. So make sure we do that. And we'll drop some links in too as we go through the webinar here today. I've got lots of links to share with you. So, okay, about me. For those of you who don't know me, I run a social media marketing firm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm also the founder of the Get Social Smart Academy. I'm author of the book Get Social Smart. I've been featured in lots of great industry publications, Inman News, and other great publications. And really for the past 10 years or so, our focus has been on helping agents and brokers get smarter about social media. We really believe that, it's all about working smarter, not harder. And a lot of what we talk about today, especially with zero cost marketing, we really believe that there's a lot of things that you can create that don't cost a whole lot of money and many times not a whole lot of time. So it's really, I think time is our most precious asset. Anyone who, like myself, I'm a parent, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, we're all juggling multiple hats. And so time is our most precious asset. So today I've got a bunch of different things we're going to talk about. Definitely a lot of social media stuff, but we're also going to touch on a few other things. I want to give you some of my favorite organizational apps because I think it's important to get organized. That's the name of the game. So we're going to give you some tools in terms of task management. I've also got some great tools I want to share with you as far as video. Video is not going away by any stretch of the imagination. And I know for a lot of us, we aren't always comfortable with how we look or how we sound, so then we don't do video. And as I said, I think I said this on the last webinar with you guys, I had a good friend of mine a few years ago very lovingly remind me, she was like, Katie, that's how you look. And that's how you sound. So you got to get over it. So I'm going to share with you guys
That's
It's
actually
true, right?
not going to help people. Totally kidding. Totally
Exactly.
kidding. No,
So I've got
kidding.
some free video tools I'm going to share. We're going to talk a little bit about stock photography. There's some great resources out there. Email marketing, which I believe is really important because, as much as I love social media is a rented ground. We don't own social media. We don't own Facebook. We don't own Instagram.
That was one of my favorite quotes that you gave, that social media is rented space. So smart.
Yeah, it's so important to, and to be honest with you, I remember way back in the day listening to Ben Kinney. I mean, this was probably 10 plus years ago, maybe even longer. And I remember one of the biggest things he talked about was how, your database is like your gold mine, and how important that is. So it's so relevant. So we're going to talk about that today. I've got some great apps and resources to share. We're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and then some low cost ways to put it all together. So
Love it.
are we ready, Via?
We're ready to go. So ready.
To
I've got Command Central. I'm monitoring questions, chat. Just throw it at me, everybody. I'm ready.
She's ready. She's ready. All right. All right.
I'm a
so
good
let's
sidekick,
start.
Katie.
Exactly. Thank you. I even have my Facebook mug today. I think I might have brought this last time too. This is one of my
Awesome.
favorite mugs. All right. So
shameless self-promotion.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Nice. All right. So I want to first start by talking about getting organized because, again, time is our most precious asset. And I'm a big believer that you don't need to be spending all day on social media or in really any of your marketing. So a big piece of this is getting organized and getting systemized. And so there's 4 tools that I love that are free. Of course, there's paid options. Everything I'm talking about today, generally speaking, there's a free version. And of course, for many of them, there's a paid option, which is great because if you like it, you can try it out for free for a long time. So Asana and Trello are awesome. These are project management tools, and especially if you're someone who has someone else working with you. So maybe you have an assistant, maybe you have a business partner, maybe you're part of a team. If you are a solo agent, you could probably get through without some sort of task management system. But as your business grows and as you start to scale what you're doing, there's only so many hours in the day. Yep. And ultimately, we get so many emails and it's nice to be able to have a tool like either Asana or Trello where you can put projects in there. So specifically like around social media, if you want to, let's say you want to start doing a podcast like Via's doing, I'm sure she has some sort of system for like, when's it going to get recorded and who's going to upload it? Like there's a whole process, right? The whole editing piece of it. It's not just do a podcast, right? Anytime you insert something into your business, you got to think about what's the process for that. You bring a new agent on your team. What's the process, right? And so Asana and Trello, I love those. They're free. Again, they have a paid version, but those are great tools. And then, of course, Google and Dropbox, which I would imagine most of us know and love. They're kind of oldies but goodies, but they're awesome, right? If you ever have trouble getting content or information from your phone to your computer, like Google and Dropbox are like my ride or die. If I've got video content, I'm like,
Google's everything for me. It's interesting that you should say this, and I don't want to get too in the weeds, but I think Asana is very beefy and super overwhelming. I am not wired in a way to be able to use it, but I appreciate the power that it has.
Yeah.
And I there's no way. It's just, it makes the way it overwhelms me, but I love Google tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And Google tools are a great place to start. And that's where a lot of people use Google tools like Google Spreadsheets. We use those with our virtual team, and then just Google Drive in general to be able to share documents. What's nice about, especially Asana, we use Asana personally. And what's nice is we have a virtual team. And so we're able to, set assignments for people. For example, I do a weekly video show. And a weekly podcast. And so each one of those has a process. I'm involved in part of that. I'm involved in being on camera, being the voice, but then there's other people on our team who are doing other pieces of it, the distribution, the editing, right? And so instead of me going, is this done? Is this ready? How's this going? Instead of me feeling like I got to micromanage my team, we can easily we basically assign different tasks. So it's a little robust. It's not for everybody, but it's one of those things that after you've used it a while, and if you've got someone on your team who's kind of in charge of that piece of it, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, I get that.
So Yeah, those are some great free tools. And then of course, I mean, this goes without saying, there's no app that can replace you. And we are going to share obviously a lot of great apps and tools here today, but there's nothing like, obviously, when it comes to marketing, the personal piece of it, right? And this is, I think, one of the things as we talk about a lot of free tools today, it's important to also recognize that there's nothing that's going to replace you just picking up the phone, or you sending a handwritten card, or you
100%.
actually being the one on social media to wish somebody a happy birthday, right? Like that's the piece you can't really hand off to somebody else. I mean, I guess you could, but to really make the most of it, you got to show up. And that kind of goes hand in hand with video, right? I warned you we're going to talk a little bit about video, but you can't hide who you are on video.
Darn it.
I know, right? You can't hide who you are. It's like I said, you are who you are. That's how you look. That's how you sound. And I know we talked about this on the last webinar, but I think it bears repeating. I think now more than ever is the time to create video. And I know this webinar is all about zero cost. And so here's the good news. The good news is you don't need a whole lot of fancy equipment. We all have a phone, and that's really all you need.
That's it. That's really what you need.
Yeah. That's all you need. And I'm going to share with you some apps today that are great. But honestly, when I first started doing video, I didn't have any editing. It was just record on the phone and you start there, right? And I'm sure Via, you probably were the same way.
We still don't do a lot of editing, Katie. I mean, because a lot of our medium is webinars, and it's very, very limited editing, actually.
Yeah. See, exactly. I think,
sadly, and filters too. I'm sorry to say.
That's okay.
Sorry for all of you.
That's all right. That's all right. So obviously in the video world, there's a lot of different places. If you're creating video, Facebook loves video. If you're feeling like, okay, Facebook's not working. If you're feeling like what's going on with the Facebook algorithm, if you feel like I post something and like 2 people like it and one of them is my mom, right? How do you get more traction, especially on a Facebook business page, which is really tough? Yeah. It's video. It's original video. It's video that you've created, not video you've taken from someone else, but video you've created and you uploaded directly into Facebook. Along with that is YouTube, right? YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. And YouTube and Facebook are similar, but different in a lot of ways, right? We go to Google to figure something out. How do I do this? How do I do that? We come to a video. Facebook is more like we just happen to be, standing in line at Starbucks and we're scrolling and we happen across your video. Both are free, obviously. IGTV, Instagram TVs, that's, Instagram's answer for longer form video. And I know obviously these are kind of no-brainers, but I also think it's important that if you are taking the time to create video, if you've, thought to yourself, okay, I am going to do a weekly show, or I'm going to do a monthly show, or you start to kind of think around getting a system together with video content, I really believe that there's a lot of power in repurposing that content. So you might put it on Facebook today, YouTube tomorrow, Instagram in a couple days, reshare it again on Facebook a few days later, especially if you're creating any kind of sort of evergreen or timeless video content, which I would really encourage you to think about, things like the things we get asked all the time, right? Who pays for what? Why is staging important? Just all the different things we get asked all the time. That type of timeless library of content is really, really valuable. I do have up on the screen here a couple of my apps, my favorite apps for editing. And I will say with you, anything I share with you, first of all, it's like tried and true. I've used it. And it's also simple. Like, I don't know about you, but there's a lot of apps on my phone I probably need to delete. I could tell you, I
many.
all have that.
so many.
Things we've downloaded over the years. But Video Shop, Videorama, they work for all devices, iPhone, Android. And if you want to add some music, royalty-free music, if you want to.
We learned that one.
Right. Add logos, things like that. It's easy to do. So ultimately, video answers this question. What does it feel like to work with you? Right. And
that's huge, Katie.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What does it feel like to work with you?
So videos answering the question, what does it feel like to work with you? That's really brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people, I don't know if they don't think about it or it gets kind of like glossed over, but when you go to, for example, let's say I go to an agent's Facebook page, a lot of times, and it doesn't matter where the agent works, it's a lot of times I see the same thing. I see your listings. I see your links to your open houses. I see a link to an article you read, or maybe like a funny, something funny you posted, which is great. But a lot of times what's missing is, who are you? And what do you stand for? And what are you all about? Like, what's your personality? And I would say sometimes when we put ourselves out there, not everybody's going to like it. We're not everybody's cup of tea. And that's okay. Like, we don't have to be all things to all people. I was just saying this in a webinar this morning. It's okay to not be vanilla. It doesn't mean we have to.
Well said.
Yeah, we don't want to offend people. We don't, and now it's a tricky time, obviously, with politics and whatnot, but I think we can be respectful. I think we can lean into who we are, have an opinion. And, especially when it comes to business, the difference between your content and other people's content is you're layering in your personality of who you are, right? Which I think is really, really important. Okay. I promised you I'd talk a little bit about images. Let's talk a little bit about images, because video is important. Images are important as well. Picture's worth 1,000 words. We've all heard that. The best images, I always think, are the ones that you have on your phone, that you've taken, that you own. However, I do have a couple free sites that I love because sometimes we just need a good stock photo. And, and I'm not talking about cheesy stock photos. But yeah, I know you've seen some pretty bad cheesy stock photos over the years, right? With like the realtor on the phone.
Completely. And can I just interject a non-vanilla, this is going to be a controversial comment. I'm going to say it. So okay. Everybody get ready for we're 21 minutes in, it was bound to happen. And let's talk about the staged selfie, which I'm all for. I'm all for a good staged selfie. So please continue to do that. But let's be careful with how polished they look and how cheesy they look, because there's a whole bunch of overstaged selfies that look really professional to me. And you're looking in the distance and you're laughing at your salad bowl or whatever is funny to you. And it doesn't ring as authentic, right? So there is a fine line, Katie, between overly polished, right? And like not polished enough.
Yes. I love that you said that. It's definitely kind of a fine line between, I think you said it beautifully, between being professional, but not so polished that it looks fake. It's like
I literally see
fakeness.
Agents. Yeah, I see sometimes all of a sudden overnight, all of a sudden on their feed, there's all these obviously professional staged candid photos. And I'm like, they just hired a consultant to do their social media. That's literally what I think.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of a balance between being professional, but also just being real. Yeah, I totally agree. So the sites that you see up here on the screen, these are totally free. Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels. Again, you're not going to use a stock photo for everything, but I'll give you an example. I love to share motivational or inspirational quotes, right? I think I was, if I find something that's really great and inspirational, I might want to share it. So these are some great sites. You might, maybe you want to look for a beautiful, sunset picture or a beautiful ocean picture like this one on the screen, or maybe you want to share a real estate tip and you need a great picture of a front door or, some sort of home shot. So all of these are great free tools. And again, they're not cheesy. No cheesy stock photos allowed.
May I share my favorite one that I use for all of my word graphics, and it has like thousands of free images. It's called Word Swag, and I love it. And there is a free version. I use it so much. I use the paid version, but it's great. It's called Word Swag.
Oh, Word Swag is awesome. Yes, I think I have that somewhere on this deck. Yeah,
so
it is
good
for sure.
Yeah,
it is a few bucks. I think they do have
they do have a free version with watermark and stuff, but yeah.
And I would say too, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like once you've used an app, if it's free and you really love it, I think it's worth it to pay the $3, $4, $5, whatever it is, because then a lot of times it'll take the watermark off, so you don't have to keep branding them. You can brand yourself.
I agree. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about email. We said in the beginning, social media is rented ground, right? So I think it's important when we think about our marketing in general, building a strong email list, right? Building a strong database. And obviously there's so many reasons for that. And I can just tell you from personal experience, we've been sending out our weekly email newsletter for probably the last 7 or 8 years. Out of everything we put out, that's probably the one thing that people continue to still ask me about. They'll say things like, "Oh, I love your Saturday newsletter. I read it with my coffee every morning, every whatever it is," which kind of makes me giggle because it's nothing fancy, right? It's a very simple email newsletter. Yeah. But I think one of the things that's really powerful about email is it's different when someone opts into your email. They're not just liking you on Facebook, or they're not just like following you on Twitter. Like they've opted in to say, yes, I would like more email. Please send me more email, right? So there's a few of my favorite tools here. And I'm sure we all kind of have our own sort of favorite email marketing tools, but I always recommend MailChimp, especially if you're kind of at the beginning stages of email marketing. That's what we used, especially in the beginning. It's free up to the first, I think it's 2,000 emails. They've got a great app as well, so you can lay out your email newsletter, and then you can pull up the app on your phone to see what does it look like on a phone, because most of us are looking at email on a phone, not just on a computer. And having some sort of tool that's going to help manage when people want to unsubscribe and getting people to opt in, things like that, it just makes a really big difference over the course of time. And then, of course, if you struggle at all with writing, I like to write, but sometimes, there's grammar issues and things like that. So Grammarly is a great.
Oh, I love Grammarly. I pay for that. I love Grammarly. I have the beefed up. I need it. I have the full on beefed up version.
Yes, Grammarly is a lifesaver. Hemingway is very similar to that as well. If you find that you are, you need to be a little bit more brief, Hemingway will kind of read through. If you've written something, especially for those of you who want to write email newsletters, or maybe you are thinking about doing blogging, any kind of written format, it'll kind of go through and say, like, look, that's a run-on sentence, or that is written really passively. Like, this is how you can be more direct. Let's take out this word and this word. So it just kind of helps you be a little bit more concise and direct, which is great. All right. So let's go into some of the different social media platforms, which, again, there's lots of free stuff available before you ever pay for anything. So I want to take a second and just chat briefly about LinkedIn, because I know LinkedIn is not as fun as Facebook or Instagram, but LinkedIn is really important. It's, for a lot of folks, unfortunately, I think for a lot of folks, LinkedIn has kind of become the set it and forget it network, where you set it up at one point, maybe you haven't done a whole lot with it since.
Yeah.
But when you get Googled, one of the first things that comes up is LinkedIn, right? So there's a couple things that are totally free. And I know LinkedIn obviously has a paid program, but there's a ton of things you could do for free. And so these are some of the kind of my top six, so to speak, things that I love to recommend on LinkedIn and that I think are important. Having an updated photo, obviously, not just LinkedIn, but any of your marketing. There's nothing worse than meeting someone for the first time and their reaction is something like, "Oh, you look nothing like your photo." So.
Yeah, well, I actually don't want to talk about it right now.
Yeah. So. I can relate.
Little COVID-19 pounds going on here. So,
yeah. Well, no, I agree. The gray hairs, at least for me. Yeah. So have an updated photo. That's important. And then the other things are obviously important as well. Updating your skills and your expertise. I find that a lot of times you set up your LinkedIn account 5 years ago. I like to check my LinkedIn account once a year. This probably sounds nerdy, but I just put it on my calendar, and like once a year, I just kind of check it and make sure, is it up to date? Do I have some information I need to add or delete? Is it relevant? So skills and expertise are important. Videos, on your profile on LinkedIn, you can also add video links, which is great for those of you who are active doing videos.
I need to do that.
Yeah, and you don't have to put don't put every single video you've ever done, but if you've got a great testimonial video, maybe you've got an example of a property you marketed a year ago and it was amazing, and you had this great virtual tour or property tour, you can link to a few things in your profile, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Also on LinkedIn, totally free, is there's an area where you can blog, you can create content, and this is actually, I feel like, super underutilized. Now, I wouldn't necessarily blog about your listings. I don't think that's necessarily the right place to blog about your listings. But what I found is that two things. If you are creating video content, there's no reason you can't transcribe that video and turn it into a blog post, right? Especially if it's not necessarily about a listing, but maybe something around.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah, the real estate, it's about the market. Turn it into a blog post. Maybe you already have a blog. Maybe you're already blogging. And I've done this from time to time. We have a blog on our website. we have said, you know what, we put some of our blog content on LinkedIn, not all of it, but a couple here and there. And we will say, read the rest over on our blog, click here, so kind of as a way to
Love
repurpose
that.
content.
You know what I love about it too, Katie? Like agents are busy right now. Like this is definitely a busy time in the market. And I was thinking about it earlier when you were talking about staging and stuff. Agents, while you're staging, do your live or do your video,
Yes.
in the moment, do the video as you think about it. Like, when you're staging, you're like, oh, this is interesting. Like I always put, I don't know. I always put couches to face the view. And so you could do a post on why staging is actually not interior design. Staging is not always smart interior design. Staging is there to showcase a real estate product to sell it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could talk about that stuff and do it in the moment, like live on location while you're doing your day-to-day job. I just wanted to throw that in.
I absolutely love that idea. I mean, that goes back to something I've said before. I've often said, look at your life as content, right? Like
Oh, I love that.
look at your life as content. As you are doing what you already have to do anyways, you're waiting for a home inspector, right? Maybe do a quick video about what's an inspection.
Love that.
Why is that important?
Or like, when the drone photographer's there, when you're there with the photographer and they're setting up all their lights and they're doing their thing. And, why do you have them take it at certain angles? Why do we have the drone photographer take drone to show their proximity to a downtown location or to a body of water? We assume people understand all this, but they don't. We're really good at what we do and we should talk about it. I love this, Katie.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, and I think also the underlying piece to all of this is as you do video too, you're building up this library of content, which helps in so many ways, right? It helps to attract new business to you, but also when you're having one-on-one conversations, it's something you could send somebody, let's say if you did a video about why you're using drone videos, and then a month later you have a conversation with a client and they're asking about, do you use a drone? You can say yes, and here's a video explaining why. Right?
Love that.
Again, working smarter, not just harder. The last thing that's on this slide, I'll just mention real quick with LinkedIn is recommendations. And I know there's dozens of places to get recommended when it comes to real estate. I like LinkedIn for a lot of reasons, and one of them is because it's not just real estate related. And I'll give you a quick example. There's a gal inside of our Get Social Smart Academy who uses LinkedIn recommendations in a really smart way. What she does is she puts on her calendar once a month to go onto LinkedIn, and she gives a recommendation for somebody she's worked with in the last 30 days. So she thinks about, is it other clients or just not even always real estate related, but just who has she worked with in the last 30 days that she could kind of surprise and give a recommendation to. And so she'll go on LinkedIn, she'll connect with them. She will leave them a 2 or 3 sentence recommendation. And I asked her, I was like, so what's the result? Like what happens? And she's like, almost every time I'll get a text or an email or a call saying, that was so nice. Like, thank you so much. I didn't expect that. And so often they will return the favor, right? And give you a recommendation in return. So, it's like that idea of give to get, right? Which I think is really, really powerful. All right. So far, so good, Via?
I literally just put that in my calendar to do once a month, starting tomorrow. And I have a page of notes.
Yay!
So yes, it's good.
Awesome.
It's great.
Awesome. Okay, so let's transition. We're going to talk about Facebook, and then we'll get into some Instagram stuff. Facebook is not dead. No. It's very noisy right now. There's a lot going on Facebook, but it's certainly not dead. And there's a few different layers to Facebook, right? There's your personal profile, there's business pages, there's groups, there's obviously paid advertising, but we're not talking about paid stuff today. We're talking about zero cost stuff. So yeah, I want to share with you one of my favorite, tried and true tips. And this is something that is not new. Like if you've ever heard me speak, you've probably heard me teach this. But for some of you, I would imagine this is new. This is something that's been around for years, but I still think it is one of the best, cool, free things that you can do on Facebook. And that is create lists. Now, you can't do this on your business page, but on your personal profile, if you go to, and if you're writing down any notes, this is the link to write down, facebook.com/bookmarks/list, facebook.com/bookmarks/lists. You also can't do this from your phone. I know it's a pain, but you got to do it on your computer. So when you go to your computer, go to this link. And when you go to this link, you can take all of your friends and organize them into different lists. Now, these lists are private, so, your friends are not going to know that they've been organized into a list. And if you really want to go, gung-ho, you could make a list of your neighbors and your, sorority sisters and people you went to high school with. At a minimum, I would say create 2 lists. One being your clients. Think about the clients you've worked with over the last 6 to 12 months. Who have you worked with in the last 6 to 12 months? Make a list. See if they're on Facebook. Now, some of them are not going to be on Facebook. Some of them maybe you don't want to be friends with. That's okay. The rest of them, reach out to them. Send them a private message. You might say something like, hey, Via, I really loved working with you and your family last year. I'd love to stay in touch. You're on Facebook. And you may already be friends with some of them. So then you put them into a private client list. Your prospect list are people that you're friends with who you might work with in the next 12 to 18 months. Maybe you know that their kids are going to college and they might be downsizing, or maybe they're going to be looking for, a condo or something for their kids. Or maybe you know that they're renting, but really their long-term goal is to buy. People who you might work with, right? Then this is where the magic happens. Once you've created your list, the next time you go on Facebook, instead of looking at your, noisy news feed with 500 people and cat videos and political posts and everything else, you just go right to your client list. And instead of looking at 500 people, you're looking at like 10 people. And you're seeing things like, they just had a great glass of wine last night for dinner, or, oh my gosh, they just got a new dog, or look at their kids. And you take a few minutes to like, comment, or interact with them, right? Now, don't click like on everything. Don't be annoying. Don't be that person. But take a few minutes to engage. And then you do the same thing with your prospect list. Now, if you've ever created lists before, I would also encourage you to go back and edit those lists and update those, because sometimes you may have done this 5 years ago and you've never updated them. But the beauty of this is it's totally free. And when we think of social media, a big part of social media is relationship building. And relationships are built with small, tiny interactions over the course of time. Every like, every comment, every share adds up, right? It's just like in real life. You meet someone for the first time, and then you see them again at the grocery store, and then you realize that your kids go to the same school, and that, we build these relationships. And especially nowadays, it's, with everything we're doing online, using something like this list is a great way to stay organized. So have you ever created
I recommend to all agents, Katie, that they, that you have real estate agents that you're friends with, and then, everyone else, if nothing else. What I will share with you all, not to be like negative Nelly, because I'm not negative, but when you have 5,000 friends, it is really fun to go through and do lists. Like, it takes forever, and I just gave up at a certain point. So like the best way to start is if you're building on Facebook, if you're building your likes and followers, that you start it in real time, and you just get in that habit of, doing it as you accept primary requests, or at least once a week, because it gets a little unwieldy.
It does. And a good friend of mine actually gave me a tip a few years ago. And what she does is every day when she sees the birthdays on Facebook, whether it's 2 people, 5 people, whatever, she will wish them a happy birthday and then put them into a list, which I kind of really love that tip. So
you know what I do with them, Katie?
What do you do?
I'm that person. Are
you unfriending people on their birthday?
Well,
you're like, I don't know you. I'm going to.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I've done that too.
Yeah, I use birthdays to unfriend. I do, because I'm like, if I don't know them, it's just anyway.
No,
I just admitted that live on a webinar. It's never going away. Everyone's gonna know.
It's all good. You're not alone. I definitely do that as well. So I just said this a second ago, but it's worth repeating again. It's all about relationships, right? And I obviously the point of this webinar is to talk about zero cost marketing tools. And the thing I said in the beginning is so true. You can't replace you. There's not an app that's going to replace you doing this piece of it, right? That being thoughtful and interacting with people. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your business page, because I find when it comes to Facebook business pages, like the default response is like, let's spend more money. Let's run Facebook ads because nobody's seeing our stuff. And often an agent's Facebook page, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but a lot of agents' Facebook pages tend to look like a Facebook graveyard. And it's by no fault of the agent. It's just you're busy. And like you said, Via, right now is a crazy time. You're managing multiple stuff. Like the last thing you're thinking about is like what to post. So I want to share with you a free resource. And I think I shared this link with Hattie. So Hattie, if you're around, perhaps you can drop this link in the chat.
We'll email this out to our mailing list for sure.
Oh, awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
So some of you, I'm sure, have seen this. This is, again, kind of an oldie but goodie. We've had this around for a long time, but I wanted to share this today because it's basically a really simple spreadsheet we created with about 30 content ideas. And so if you're just like, just tell me what to say, just tell me what to post, I need some ideas, right? Honestly, this will help you tremendously. We have a lot of agents who just print this up. They've, when they're sitting down a couple times a week to post content, schedule content, create content, maybe they've got an assistant who's helping with some pieces of this can help in a big, big way. So you're looking at things like local real estate, national real estate, local community, personal interest, home and design. And it's generic enough where just about anybody could take it and kind of run with it. And you can use it for Facebook, but also any social media platform. So the link is on the screen there. It's a free download, KatieLance.com/content grid. Check it out. All right. So there's some other great free tools I want to mention with Facebook pages. You can schedule your content, which is awesome. I don't recommend scheduling months in advance, but I like to set aside time once a week where I'm just looking ahead, right? So if you, let's say on a Thursday or Friday or whatever day of the week, you look ahead and go, okay, I've got a listing coming up. I want to, do a post on Monday about the market. Maybe I'm going to do a tip Tuesday. Maybe I want to feature somebody Friday. I'm going to do a throwback Thursday. Just start to kind of look ahead and you can schedule some pieces out. Each post on Facebook also has a unique link, which is really cool. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you post something to Facebook and you click on the date it was posted, so we're doing this live August 12th. If you click on the date August 12th, or you click on any post on Facebook on the date, it opens in a separate window if you're on a computer. And that separate window has this really long URL. Well, what's cool about that is if you are sending out email newsletters, when we send out an email newsletter, we drive traffic. We drive a couple things back to Facebook. So we might say, hey, did you miss our Facebook Live? Here's the link. And we're not just sending people to our page, we're sending them to that specific link, right? The long link so they can go right to it. Same thing if I have a video or maybe something else that we posted. You can also invite people to like your page. Of course, that's free. You can pin posts to the top of your page so they don't fall off the news feed. You can go live, of course, on Facebook, which is huge, of course. And then, of course, video in general, right? This is one of the ways to really build, I think, the biggest presence on Facebook. People are spending 5 times more time with Facebook with video than any other type of content. However, I would say on video, a lot of people watch videos with the sound off, right? So one of my favorite tools is now there's a little bit of a cost to this, but it's low cost, I promise. Rev.com is awesome for subtitles. So Rev.com, what this allows you to do is you take your video, let's say you've got a 3-minute video, you upload it to Rev.com, you pay about $3 for a subtitle file, and within about an hour or two, they email you back a subtitle file of your video. Then you take your video, you go to your Facebook page, upload the video, upload the subtitles, and then through the magic of Facebook, the subtitles are going across the screen. Facebook does have a free option for captions. They're not always that great, to be honest. I've used them before, but Rev is great. They're actually human transcribed, which is really cool. You can also order transcriptions. So like I said earlier, if you've got a video and you want to transcribe it to a blog post, or we transcribe our podcast because we know not everybody's a podcast listener, we'll turn that into a blog post, right? And you can transcribe that through rev.com, which is awesome.
So it's about $1 a minute, Katie?
Yeah, I think it was $1 a minute forever, and I think they recently just raised their price to like $1.10 or $1.25. So I know there's other options out there that are a little bit cheaper, but they're literally human transcribed, which is crazy. And I've found it's like 99% accurate. Every once in a blue moon, there's something that I got to fix, but it's very, very rare.
That's great.
So to me, that's worth it. I'll pay the extra 50 cents.
Hey, Katie, Veronica's asking, how do you pin posts? So I'm assuming you're talking about in a group when you pin it to the top.
Yeah, you can do it in groups or on Facebook pages. So if you,
Great.
so either on a I'll just use a Facebook page as an example. When you're on your Facebook business page and you're posting something, after you've posted it, there's like these 3 little dots right next to your post. And when you click that, there's a bunch of different options. One of them is like edit your post, delete your post, and one of them says pin it. And when you click that, it's almost like it's just pinning it to the top of your page. You'll actually see a little push pin, a little icon that's like pinned up there. So a lot of people will pin something like if they've got a video about themselves, or maybe it's like their latest listing. Some people change it out every week. You don't necessarily have to do that, but you want to try to keep it updated, maybe, once a quarter or once every other month or so, depending on what it is you're promoting. So.
Okay. We have another question that I think is a really good one, because I'm guessing your answer is going to be dependent on the type. However, here's the question. What time limit should a video be?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously really depends. Facebook really likes when you have videos at least 3 minutes. That's kind of the latest thing with Facebook, is they prefer videos over 3 minutes. So I would say between like 3 to 5 minutes is what I'd recommend. On a Facebook Live, though, the longer you can go live on a Facebook Live, generally the better. The more people will tend to tune in. So on a Facebook Live, you might go 10 or 15 minutes because you've got people who are interacting with you and they're asking questions. So yeah, part of it just kind of depends on the type of video. But
yeah, and obviously we go an hour. This is a little bit of a different purpose, but I mean, this is a webinar that we also do on Facebook Live, and we do this through Zoom, obviously. So Zoom has a mechanism where you can just go right live on Facebook.
Yeah, and what's interesting, I mean, even through this, what you'll see too, if you go back into your group and your analytics, you'll see people who join this Facebook Live, at all different times, right? There's people who just joined right now. There's people who've been watching since the beginning. There's people who will join later. And part of that is based on the Facebook algorithm. Like the more people are watching it and the longer it goes, Facebook actually will notify more people, even if they're not as active in the Facebook group, that, hey, something's going on.
Interesting.
Yeah, which is really kind of cool. And then I just have a couple other quick examples here. I know I've got a lot of stuff here, and I've got like 15 minutes.
This is great. I've taken so many notes.
Oh, good. I just threw up a personal example here. This is just a picture of my husband and I 6 years ago, which is crazy. We bought our home that we're in right now. And I just wanted to put this out there. Like for anybody who is, especially at the beginning stages of social media, you can never go wrong by like celebrating your clients and telling their story and celebrating them. If you're not sure what to post or what to say, especially right now, like, and I just want to encourage you, it's less about you and more about them. I mean, for most people, this is one of the biggest moments of their life, right? So instead of saying, close 3 more deals today, which, there's nothing wrong with that, here and there. But there also might be a post from time to time where you're like, hey, I want to, I'm so excited to work with this family. Like, I can't wait to see what's next for them, So I think that's really
good. So, for those of you, so I have a luxury real estate business. I do a lot of high-end, business, and there are some constraints for sure with privacy. I don't necessarily, all of my clients are not necessarily the kind of clients that want their pictures plastered on social media.
Absolutely.
And so I'm sometimes jealous of people who have these like super excited first-time buyer clients who are just really happy to be on Facebook with a price attached to that home, right? Yeah. We sell really expensive homes and people feel a little self-conscious about it, So I have to ask permission, and I just wanted to kind of share that with some of us in our higher price point markets like we have, that, there are some constraints sometimes with privacy.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. I mean, always ask, regardless of price point, of course, right? You always want to ask permission. And I was in a training just the other day, and the friend of mine who was doing the training, I'm probably not going to do this justice, but he said, when you're at that moment and you're giving them the keys or, whatever, you're at that moment, right? Like you're in the front of the house, whatever, or maybe you're at the closing table and you feel like I should take a picture. Maybe I should do something for social media. He said, if you can turn that around and say to your clients, like, I want to capture this for you. Is that okay? And And then at some point, if you feel comfortable saying, hey, would it be okay if I shared this on social media? I mean, it depends on your relationship with them, but just by saying, I'd love to capture this for you. Like, I just think that's a really cool way to think about it,
I love that. I love that script turnaround that just completely focused on them. That's really great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard that yesterday. I was like, I got to share that with Via.
So good.
All right. I'm going to kind of fly through. We've got, about 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to kind of talk fast here because I've got a bunch of other stuff for here. Facebook groups. Of course, we're in a Facebook group right now. This is a little meta right here. But there's lots of great free resources within Facebook groups. You can schedule posts. You can do Facebook Lives. You've got insights with information about who's active in Facebook groups. You can format your posts. You can link to your posts. You can do Facebook Lives. I've got a little screenshot there of me I do a coffee with Katie every week in my groups. You can do announcements. Again, totally free, which is awesome. And groups are such a great way to build community. All right. I want to spend these next few minutes I'm going to cram through a bunch of Instagram stuff because there's a bunch of cool free stuff.
I love Instagram. Oh, wait, let's go. I'm ready.
I know you do.
I'm strapped on. All right.
I know you love Instagram. Yes. I mean, Instagram is growing by leaps and bounds. There's so many different pieces of it. I mean, just in the time since I made this slide, there's now Instagram Reels that just came out. There's the Instagram feed, there's Instagram stories, there's Instagram Live, there's Instagram TV, and now there's Instagram Reels, which is a little bit like TikTok, if you're familiar with TikTok. Yeah. And we'll get into that in a minute.
Reels yet.
But it's super fun. So I'm just going to give you kind of a bunch of free, fun ideas for Instagram. I think the easiest thing to do with Instagram, first of all, is, again, connect with your clients. There's a lot of people who are on Facebook, but there's also a lot of people who are not on Facebook. So is there a business reason to be on Instagram? Absolutely. Is it just a bunch of kids? No. That's how Instagram started out back in the day, just like Facebook started out. But it has since evolved, and it is a great place. A lot of people are on Instagram now because it's not as noisy as Facebook. It's a lot of pretty pictures and a lot of pretty videos, which is perfect for real estate. So it's a great place to get engaged, be intentional when it comes to connecting with your clients. I believe a lot in the philosophy of Focus 5 on Instagram. I do this on Facebook also, but Focus 5, where I open my phone, I take 5 minutes, and I scroll through my feed, and I look to see who are the 5 people I can connect with on Instagram. Not just like 5 things, but actually intentionally leave some sort of meaningful comment, right? Whether it's, whatever it is that they've posted. And so that's, again, a simple way to build that engagement. There's some awesome, I knew I had word swag in one of my slides.
Word swag. I use every single one in there. Oh, except for Storio. Word swag, Canva, Boomerang, Linktree. I have them all.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, word swag and Canva, awesome for creating graphics. Boomerang, we all know Boomerangs. It's like those, fun videos. Storio is a app where you can record a longer video and then it chops it up into 15-second splits for Instagram stories. Which is kind of cool. So if you've got a 2-minute video and you want to put it in stories, Instagram just will allow you to upload the first minute. So Storio takes a longer video and chunks it out on your phone, which is awesome. Kind of cool. Linktree is great. So you can add multiple links in your bio, because you're only allowed one live link on Instagram still.
If you guys want to see Linktree, get on my Instagram. And here, I don't know why I can't do this. Get on my Instagram and you can click on my link, you'll see Linktree. There's my Instagram.
Yeah, it's really cool. I've seen people put lots of different things. You can add a link to your email newsletter, your podcast, your YouTube channel, your recent solds, open houses for the week, whatever it might be. And just as an example, this is an example of what mine looks like. Perfect. Mine is more social media related, but
yours is prettier than mine.
I like this. Well, the free version is great, but again, I used the free version for a while, and I was like, I really like this. It's like $6 a month, and now I can brand it with my colors, and now their logo is on there and stuff. So, it's kind of cool. Lots of other cool free things on Instagram. A lot of people don't realize this, but on Instagram, you can save posts on Instagram. It's that little flag. I think we talked about this last time. It's like that little flag.
We did, and I got made fun of that I didn't know what that was, FYI.
You were not the only one. Many people I talked to do not know about that. And the save button is actually really cool if you are going through Instagram and maybe you see something, but you don't want to and you want to repost it, but maybe you don't want to repost it right then. right? Maybe you just posted something. You're like, I need some ideas for other content later on. A lot of times when I'm on Instagram, I will save things and then share them later on. If I'm looking for some sort of content, or I see an inspirational quote or something. Of course, you can share things from your feed to your stories. Everything has a link as well. So again, in my email newsletter, I usually find one of my Instagram posts from a few days ago, and we'll share out an inspirational link or something from Instagram. Of course, hashtags, using your geolocation, tagging, totally all free and great ways to increase your reach and increase your sphere on Instagram. Instagram stories, I absolutely love.
Me too.
And I think Instagram stories is a great way to showcase, just kind of the behind the scenes of who you are. You can use things like colors, fonts, GIFs, music, super zoom, boomerang. A lot of these I used this morning on my Instagram stories. You can check out mine if you're looking for some inspiration. I love with Instagram stories, I love to kind of take people behind the scenes a little bit, kind of show people a little bit of who I am personally. If you see my Instagram stories, sometimes it's me on camera kind of sharing a little bit of tips, or just a little bit kind of behind the scenes of my day. I might share something personal, like a beautiful sunset, or a picture of my kids or whatever. It's always a little bit personal, a little bit business, but I like to think of it as kind of the behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, I just told Hattie's going to do a video right now of what the mess, like what my office actually looks like when I do these webinars. So she's doing it right now. I'm watching her, and we'll put that on my story right when we're done. So I love that. Yeah. Hey, Amrita was asking, can Instagram reposts be original, or it shows it's someone else's post and you reposted? It depends.
Yeah. So whenever you share something, it's going to show who it's shared from. Yeah. So if you shared my post, it'll show that it's from me. Yeah. And same thing if you share it from someone else. A lot of people also use the app Repost. I don't think I have that on the screen here, but Repost is another free app where if you want to share something.
I use Repost a lot. So Jody Hill, I do want to interject because, and I know we have limited time, but I get asked this question all the time, and I know what my answer is, but I want your answer. Yeah. Why would you use a story instead of posting on your feed? I get asked this all the time.
I know. My mom just asked me this the other day. She's like, I don't understand.
I don't get your stories that you do.
So, I mean, I look at my feed. I guess there's a couple things. Like, I don't post to my feed every single day. I mean, I post to it maybe a few times a week. And I look at kind of posting to the feed as like the best polished, finished product, right? It would be like, let's say I had a listing. The pictures on my feed would be like the best, like 3 to 5 professional, like killer pictures, right? Like that's like the finished product. But the story is like, hey, I'm on the way to meet the photographer, and oh my gosh, thank gosh I have coffee today. Like, it's kind of like the story behind the story. That's kind of how I think about it.
And it goes away in 24 hours. There's a lot less pressure. I used to put my memes on my posts, Jody, and now for the most part, they're almost all on my story because they can just come and go. I will say, Katie, I'm working on my Instagram a lot. I want to increase I really have a big goal. I want to get to 10,000 by the end of the year so you can swipe up. And I have been making myself post every day or so. It is so hard to get out of the habit because I would go weeks without posting because I was doing stories so much. And now I'm kind of doing the opposite. And I have noticed, well, all of you are going to follow me for sure. But I have noticed I've gained like 20 followers in the last few weeks just posting every day. So I do think that if you're looking to increase followers, I do think we have to remember to post too. But I think the stories are engagement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's like the engagement, the relationship building. But I agree. I think posting to your feed, and that's actually a really good segue because these are another great way to increase your reach is by hashtags. And I would say, and on the screen here are 3 of my favorite free hashtag sites if you want to get better at using hashtags. 2 quick hashtag tips. One is when you're searching for the right hashtags to use hashtags that don't have a reach of like millions of people, right? So like if I searched hashtag real estate, there's like 24 million people using that. That's too big, right? I got to find out. You want to find hashtags that are in the hundreds of thousands or maybe tens of thousands. That's sort of first and foremost. Second of all, if you really want to increase your reach, and this is more for Via, but for anybody else, is that hashtags are a great way to find others and to connect with them.
Yeah,
right.
For
So
sure. I
if
follow
like,
a ton.
yeah. So like, let's say you're in, I don't know, Denver as an example. I would search like, I heart Denver. I love Denver. Denver rocks. Like, why? Because I'm not just going to find realtors. I'm going to find people who love Denver, and I'm going to connect, and I'm going to like, and I'm going to comment. And then people are going to go, wait, who is that? I'm going to go to her profile. Oh, she's a local realtor. Oh, I'm going to connect with her. Right. So
Love that.
it's a little bit of guerrilla marketing, but when we grew our Instagram from, I don't know, a couple thousand, and now I'm over 20,000. And I can tell you from experience that part of that was not just connecting with people I already followed. It was being proactive and searching hashtags and intentionally connecting with 5, 10, 20 new people every day, just
Love
in between
that.
moments of my day. So
Love that.
there's my
I use
bonus.
all hashtags by the way. I've never used the other two, but all hashtags is great.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're coming close on time. I've got 4 more slides, so I'm going to talk fast.
Sorry, it's my fault.
No. I wanted to pack a lot in here. So the last few things, just to kind of pull it all together, because we talked a lot about, a lot of different things. Big thing I would say is think beyond the now. I know we kind of talked a little bit about this, but this idea of getting smarter with your content, repurposing your content. I would even say with Instagram, if you're like, gosh, like how can I, maybe you've been on Instagram a while, go into your Instagram analytics and see what content got the highest reach a year ago. What content got the highest level of engagement a year ago? And is it relevant to repost? Why not? If it was like an amazing inspirational quote you posted a year ago, why not reshare it? Right? Same thing with Facebook or YouTube or any of so many people never repost the same thing. They just post it once and that's it. If a piece of content did well once, most likely it's going to do well again. Right? So
super smart. That's brilliant. I've never done that. That's really smart. It's great.
Because we all get stuck. It's like, okay, I got to post something. What am I going to post? Right?
Yeah.
Well, what did you post a year ago? Go back. But you're just getting smarter, repurposing your content. And, ultimately the last couple of things here as we wrap up to the end is we do business with people we know, like, and trust, as we all know, and relate to. Right. And again, the great news is there's so many great free tools that will allow us to do this without spending a whole lot of money. So I know we've gotten to the very end. Holy cow, I think I finished right at the hour mark. So I want to leave you just a couple quick links. Thank you. My website's on the screen. If we're not yet connected yet, feel free to go to katielance.com. I have hundreds of free resources. You can also email me directly. I know there was a bunch of questions and comments coming through. Just feel free to email me if I missed anything. I'm happy. I answer all my own email. I'm happy to answer anything. And if you're looking for a book about social media, we wrote the book. It's on Amazon. You can pick it up. It's your friendly Amazon website.
That's awesome. I know we're up at time. Can I ask one question? It's probably the single most asked question I get on social media. Yeah. And second would be that story question, by the way. But the question is, and I'm trying to remember who did it. Carla asked, but many of them are thinking it because I get asked this all the time. Should you have a personal and a business account? Should they be separate? Talk about that really quick before we wrap.
Yeah, I just saw that question, Carla. So for Facebook, yes, I do think you should have a personal account on Facebook and a business account. Your personal profile really should mainly be personal. You can talk a little bit about business from time to time, but your personal profile on Facebook is where you can connect with people, stay in touch. I look at the personal profile as like the relationship builder piece of things on Facebook. The business page on Facebook, I think, is important because you can run ads, you can look at your analytics, you can schedule content. Like that's really where all your business content's going to go, your listings. You can always share some stuff from your business page to your personal profile, but I like having those kind of separate in some ways. For Instagram, I can't speak for everybody, but I would say for a lot of people, most kind of individual agents have one Instagram. I have one Instagram. I have a business Instagram. I still talk about a lot of personal things from time to time. I would say for me, it's like half personal, half business. But by having a business Instagram, I can run ads, I can schedule my content, I can look at my analytics. None of that I can do with a personal account. So, for Instagram, you might decide to have a private personal account if you really want it. But I just find like every time you're opening something new, it's a whole nother thing you got to manage. So
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. One exception, and that is, I think for most real estate agents, I think it is good to have a team account sorry, I should say a business, like a real estate practice account that you're using to broadcast your listings on and to potentially pay to promote those. I will say, I think I'm with Katie. Your brand is probably you. And so most of us have that one, like mine's Via, yours is Katie Lance. I mean, that's really kind of both. I also have Via team. But if you are like me and you have unedited moments, I do have a private account that 200 or 300 people have the keys to the kingdom to, in which case I, feel a little less inhibited on that one. I recommend that highly. It's private, it's hidden. I can say what I really want to say. I do recommend that. So
yeah, I love that. And I think it goes back to like, you have to do what's right for you too,
Yeah, for sure.
And so, no, I love that. Sometimes we just need our own place.
That's right. Yeah, it's all up to you. Well, Katie Lance, thank you. We've numerous times throughout the webinar, we've shared how to get a hold of you. I feel comfortable that everybody knows how to get a hold of you, and maybe you and I can pop back from time to time and look at all the comments on Facebook and try to answer more questions. But hopefully this gives you guys just a good intro on how to get a really good digital footprint on social media at no cost or very low cost, right?
Yeah.
Next week, you guys, please do not blow this off because the title might sound boring. How to interpret data and how to present data to your clients. It is actually fun, and you will sound like a complete expert and rock star. Seychelle Van Pool is amazing. The following week, Mike Hicks, Sean Anderson, Stephanie, and Chris, it's going to blow you away. That one webinar alone, out of all of our webinars this year, it will potentially give you new business within an hour of listening to that webinar. What they are doing in Idaho Falls is sweeping the nation. I know 20 plus teams that have now adopted the promise and the script, and it's mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing, and I don't say that lightly. So please be sure that you register and get on our list, and we thank you, everyone who keeps joining us at our Wednesday webinars. Thank you, Katie, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Via. I so appreciate it. Have a great day.